Is it possible to run part history by product tree? Okay, so it is possible to have a product history by product tree. You can make sure that, you know, if you make sure all your parts have a product, then we can do a report of that kind. There is no part history by product tree report in Fishbowl stands at this point. We'll go on to Anne-Marie Rossi. Anne-Marie has QuickBooks Online. So Fishbowl is making the question is, Fishbowl is making journal entries into accounts called holding and internal. What are these? Well, a holding account is not my favorite name for that account. It really should be called accrued inventory. So what's happening is when you receive product, Fishbowl is sending over a journal entry to QBO that debits inventory and credits the holding account to accrue the fact that you received the goods, okay? Then when you reconcile the bill in Fishbowl, Fishbowl is sending over a journal entry to reverse that holding account entry, and it's sending over the bill which debits inventory and credits accounts payable. With respect to the internal account, there's a part type called internal use, and the default account for that is internal. So you probably want to go through those parts in your system. And map the account to something besides internal use. Okay. Anne-Marie, does that answer your question?
Okay, good. Sorry. In regards to the first part, you're saying holding is better termed accrued inventory.
Correct.
Journal entries go in there when the inventory is received, but we don't have the actual invoice yet, or the actual order is not fulfilled. Is that correct?
We have not reconciled the bill to the receipt.
Right. Okay. So then what's happening for us right now, and I don't know if it's correct or if we need to fix it, that reversing of that journal entry is creating a journal entry in accounts payable.
It shouldn't be creating a journal entry to accounts payable.
Then I'm trying to figure out I've just spent months cleaning up the accounts payable for our company, and every time I turn around, there's some journal entry or Fishbowl entry that's coming into accounts payable that is confusing me, because
you should not be getting journal entries to accounts payable. So
I have. So what does that mean? An old order, which was closed according to operations, but not me, and I had the bill sitting in accounts payable, and I was trying to figure out how it had been paid, and apparently had been paid with credit card months ago. So I said it was paid, marked it paid in QuickBooks, and then apparently operations closed that order, and then these journal entries came down for older parts of the order, I guess.
Okay, we should not be getting any journal entries to accounts payable.
How do I figure out how they happened, though? It obviously happened.
You have to look at your database, to see if we have something mapped to accounts payable that we shouldn't have mapped to accounts payable.
Okay.
So, if you want to go look at all your mappings, you can just send out the PPV.
Okay. Look at our mapping. I don't use Fishbowl, so I've got to get specifics on this. Look at our mappings.
We are recording this, right, Stephanie?
Yes, we are.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, good. And then secondarily,
to look at these mappings is to come here and put a data filter on.
Yeah.
And then based upon the part types of the different mappings. So the inventory part type is 10. And then you can look down here, and this one's clean because it's a demo file I borrowed from Fishbowl recently.
Yeah.
You can see the mappings here, and then, you know, to the various accounts.
Okay.
Because there should not be journal entries hitting accounts payable at all.
Right. But what if they're not reversing out of holding?
That is something that does happen. And, you know,
Do I just manually reverse them?
you're going to have to manually fix them until Fishbowl figures out how to fix it.
Okay. So that explains why they didn't come out. That doesn't automatically happen. It's supposed to, but it hasn't. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
And I see lots of different things causing that holding account not to be relieved. One of which is when we're in here doing the reconciliation, when we have multiple receipts, when we have multiple receipts and they're received on different days, if we put them all on the same bill, then it doesn't know that there should be a journal entry to reverse the previous receipt.
I gotcha.
So that one I know for sure is a cause. There are several other causes that I have documented and I have seen, but that's the one
There's no workaround currently.
Well, be careful when you're reconciling. It is best to have your bill date be equal to your receive date.
And not duplicated.
Right.
Okay.
So Fishbowl actually put this date right here, this column here on the reconciliation screen just for me. Back when they listened to me. Okay.
All right. Well, John had a
second question, or do I need to wait in line again?
we don't really have many questions in here. If I can come back to you after the next two.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, so we're back to John because he did have a follow-up for you.
Okay. Issue is finished goods that are not stocked do not show where.
The part history report.
That's because are they okay? The part history report is for parts. So are these non-inventory items or are these dropship items?
These are built finished goods.
Okay.
We can't see the detail underneath it.
What do you mean by detail?
Well, you can't see the components history.
It's
but
not.
We can see the component history only, not the finished good version of it.
Okay, what type of part is the finished good version?
Bill of material or a kit.
It's a kit. So it's not a part, it's a kit. No, you'd have to have a whole different report to get kits and kit activity.
Kit usage, okay. And what about bill of materials?
Okay, we have two things. We have a bill of materials and then we have a kit structure. So the bill of materials is when I take a whole bunch of different things and I turn it into a new thing, okay?
Correct.
All right. The kit structure is where I say, go grab this, go grab that, and put them all in one box and ship them. So the bill of materials for the finished goods, you can track the finished good and you track each individual part, but the part history report is all about a part, not everything that went with the part. If you want to look at the manufacturing detail on the bill of materials,
I'm trying to figure out how many of those finished parts are being used or created.
okay, so have you looked at this one? And this is a great report that is, you got a really, really, really strange name. inventory variance. So you select your warehouse. Okay.
Okay.
And then it can show you everything in that location group, or you can select a part. So I'm going to leave it at everything because this is a demo file. I'm not sure I've done anything much with it recently. So it shows you the beginning balance, the transactions, and the ending balance at the end of the period. So it's a great report, but you wouldn't know that it was this report from the name of it, inventory variance.
Okay, we'll take a look at that and see what we can come up with.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
no problem. Yeah, this is a great report. Okay, who do we have next?
Denise. I'm going to unmute her.
Hi, Denise.
Hi.
So what kind of, you're asking about handled drop shipments. Are we drop shipping from the vendor to the customer?
That's correct.
Okay, so right over here in the sales order, I would pick multi-currency. Let's not do that. Okay, when I pick my item, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so this is, let me pick something better. That's a service. All right, so I have 3 types of items I can put on a sales order. So I double click into here and I can have it a sale, a drop ship, or a credit return. So if I select drop ship, then as soon as I issue this order, it is going to generate a purchase order over in purchasing for my drop ship item. So
Okay.
purchase order 50363. So I come over here to purchasing and I go to my bid requests. And so now we're buying this from Mike's Bikes. So all I need to do here is issue that purchase order so that it'll go to the vendor. I didn't get the right PO number. Okay, where is my 50363? Aha. There we go. So we have a vendor here and it's going to go get shipped to American. Okay, and we're going to pretend time has passed. When I receive this, okay, what it does is at the same time it comes over here to the sales order and fulfills that line item. So it's invoiced.
Okay, so when you say receive, even though we're not receiving any merchandise in-house, it's just once it ships and we have to invoice it at that time, you go to receiving?
When the vendor notification says that they shipped it, then you would go ahead and receive
Receive it, okay.
which would automatically creates the invoice to the customer. My caution here is I had a customer that was doing drop ships, but they were doing a blanket sales order with multiple deliveries, and the drop ship function did not work well for them. So they were better off doing sales order to purchase order.
I see.
Okay.
And can you convert, like, on the dropship order, an initial quote to a sales order?
Right. So right here, all of our sales orders start out as bid requests. I don't know why I keep picking something that doesn't work. So I save this and I go to File, Print, Preview. And it is an estimate. So this is a not an official sales order.
Until they accept.
And once they accept it,
Yep.
then I want to come over here and push issue. And now it becomes a sales order.
Great.
Okay. And then if we have lots of estimates, one of our module options here is we can set a number of days to expire on the estimates so we don't have a whole bunch of estimates cluttering up our sales order module.
And if we wanted to have different templates, like say the customer wants it to say quote instead of estimate, are we able to have several templates to choose
Yes,
from?
you are. But most of those require customization.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, we can go back to Anna Marie.
Okay. Anna Marie, what's next?
And again, I'm not a daily Fishbowl user, but sometimes I want to run a report of open orders. Can that be done by vendor?
Well, let's go look. I
mean,
mean, anything
I
we can.
clicked around and I couldn't see, I couldn't get it to do it. So I didn't know if maybe I'm just barking up the wrong tree.
Wow. Purchase order summary. No, it doesn't seem to have a sort option.
It has, what is the vendor line down there? What does that field represent? Go up again, there was a vendor field option in that.
It says show them vendor name or the vendor's contact information.
So 2 lines down where it says group, location group, or vendor, you can't.
You can get it for a single vendor.
Oh, okay, not by vendor. I got you.
Right. That's the sort option by vendor.
Yeah. Okay, but if I can do it by a single vendor, that'll help me out when I'm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You can, okay. You can also come into the purchasing screen and ask for a specific vendor and open.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't see any additional questions in the questions tab. Anyone in the audience want me to unmute them?
We're a small group today, so.
Yes.
I did post an additional question.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
My question was, how does Fishbowl handle like back ordered parts or discrepancies when receiving?
Okay, so this guy, we ordered 20 yards. Good. So I go in here to receive. And let's say I only got 15 yards. So I go ahead and receive that quantity. Okay, and it opens up a line for the remaining balance.
Okay.
Okay, so we would reconcile this one separately from this one when we get it. Now, if we never going to get that additional 5, after this has been reconciled to the bill, we can go back to the purchase order and close it short. Okay.
Great.
Okay, we've got a couple people submitting some questions. Yay. All right, Leah, so you have one here that says, can I piggyback off of John's question? Okay, so yes, let's go ahead and unmute you.
Hi, Leah.
Hi. So to clarify a little on what John's trying to ask, so he wants to know if we have a part that we use for, say, 3 different kits or bombs, is there a way to see how many of those kits or bombs were used for that item? Like throughout the year?
Well, no, okay. So it takes a little work to get there.
Okay.
On my individual parts, okay. All right. It tells me where it's used, if it's in the bill of materials. I don't have
Okay.
that when we're doing kits, okay? So from a kit standpoint, you're going to need a custom report.
Okay. And then how would I then see from there, like how many of that bomb was sold throughout the year?
Okay. If we're selling something that was really built, then we can use the sales reports. If we're selling kits, which I know you are, you need a kit report. You need a custom report. There is no kit sales history in Fishbowl standard.
Okay, so we can do it for bombs, but we can't do it for kits.
Right. Because a kit
Okay.
doesn't really exist ever. It's an idea.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You can actually send your custom report requirements to reports@terabyte.com, and then we'll go ahead and get that quoted for you. Okay, so now we have, I don't want to mispronounce this person's name, so I'm just going to ask
We're going
their.
to take Mr. or Mrs. Wang.
Oh, thank you. Okay, yes, Mr. Wang. Mr. or Mrs. Wang, I'm going to unmute you. Okay, so you're self-muted. Go ahead and click the red microphone and then
Okay,
ask your
hi,
question.
I'm here.
Hi.
Yes, I'm Wei Wei.
Ah, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm late for the meeting. So when I joined the meeting, I just heard the system could send out the invoices automatically, right?
Okay. If you, I usually have QuickBooks send out the invoices because I like QuickBooks email batching process.
Yes.
Okay. I think it's easier to work. From a Fishbowl standpoint, you can email at the point of shipment. You can set up something to be emailed. So if you chose to tell Fishbowl to email an invoice instead of a packing list, you could attach it to this screen and it would email that. Okay, this is a demo file. I do not have email set up in the demo file, but that is one way to do it here. I first emailing them out of QuickBooks.
Yeah. I think it's better. Yeah, we still use QuickBooks to send the invoices. Got it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Wei Wei. Okay, so now we have Greg. And Greg, you're unmuted.
Transfer.
Hey, Jeanne, how are you? Yeah, we just had a kind of question about what's the best way to handle transfers, non-inventory items coming.
Okay, so transfers are, between location groups, right? Greg? You're shipping from one warehouse to another, correct? Greg, you can't go mute on me.
Oh, we can come back to Greg. Greg.
Okay. The next one, in my experience, does Fishbowl integrate better with a particular QuickBooks product? Yeah, I have a strong opinion about that. In my opinion and experience, Fishbowl does much better with QuickBooks Desktop, any of the 3 versions, than it does with QuickBooks Online.
Do you want to tell us why?
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of errors in the integration with QuickBooks Online, especially regarding the holding account. So I'm getting a lot of requests for straightening out QuickBooks Online. Okay, next one is Jenna. Jenna, you don't have to have a microphone. You could use the telephone. Okay, can I order an item as a case and have it automatically break down into pieces when it's received? Of course you can. So let's go find ourselves a part. Okay. And here we have unit of measure each. So I'm going to go here to set up my units of measure. And there are no cases set up yet. So this guy will measure count. And case of 12, we'll stick with dozens here. And my abbreviation, I usually put my math in my abbreviation. Okay. And then I create a conversion. So now I'm going to convert my case of 12 to an each. And a case of 12 is greater than 1 each. And so my math is 12. Finish. Save. And then I can come over here to purchasing. New. And let's go for 10. It's B201. Okay, so instead of measuring an each, I'm going to purchase a case of 12. Okay. Issue. So we should probably give it a cost, huh? Save. I'm going to go to receiving. And I'm going to receive all 10 cases. Okay, and it's here in Salt Lake City receiving. And then I'm going to come over here to inventory. And in my Salt Lake City receiving are my units. So everything here is in units, but I also have this handy dandy display where I can like look at them as cases as well. Okay. So yeah, that's something Fishbowl does nicely. Okay. I hope that answered it. And we are now into John Horton. How do we transfer a sales order from one warehouse to another, or transfer just part of that order as in kit item? Okay, so the designation as to which warehouse the sales order is going to be fulfilled at is down here in the location group. All right. So what you do is you change the location group down here to be the other warehouse. If we're going to split an order and have part of it shipped from one warehouse and part of it shipped from another warehouse, we're going to need 2 orders. One with the Pennsylvania location group and one with the Washington location group. Okay. Okay.
All right, so then we have Greg. He has
Hi.
2 questions. Okay, Greg, don't mute yourself this time.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you. Yeah, the first one is how do we book multiple tax items in Fishbowl and QuickBooks? So like if order has sales, use, and excise tax, how would we book that over to QuickBooks?
Okay. So the sales tax is an automatic kind of a thing.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And we have Avalara to help us out. If you've got an excise tax issue, you're probably going to have to create an item that represents that excise tax. And if you have a use tax, I can't imagine having a sales order with a use tax on it. But what are you selling that you might have a use tax on a sales order? Because usually we have to go and calculate use tax separately.
What's that?
Samples.
Yeah, maybe samples.
Okay, so I wouldn't do it on the sales order unless you're going to charge your customer for samples. I would come up to QuickBooks to figure out, you know, how much in samples I've given away. And to do that, I would set up a class that said samples or marketing or something, so that at the end of the month I knew to transfer those dollars from cost of goods sold to marketing expense. And then I can calculate the use tax liability for that month as well.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so
Thanks, Jeanne.
my next
Sorry,
question is
Yeah.
here. Is this, are these general ledger accounts or are these customer accounts?
Customer accounts. We have a parent account that's a customer, and then they also work as independently.
Okay, so over here in the customer setup, okay, I can create a customer. And right here, I can designate it as being the child of a parent customer. Okay.
Okay.
And it can also be its own individual customer as well.
Got it.
All right.
Great. So you can create the parent-child relationship there. Okay.
Yeah, the parent, it's not as obvious as it is in QuickBooks.
Right. Right.
That's list.
And when it comes over to QuickBooks, it'll still maintain that relationship.
Correct. Because
Got it.
Fishbowl is the master for everything other than your chart of accounts. And it's a push from Fishbowl to QuickBooks.
Got it. Thanks, Jeanne. Sorry, and our original questions, on the transfers, it got cut out. Our audio got cut out when you were kind of responding.
Okay, yeah. I was asking you, these are transfers between warehouses?
Not really, right?
No, it's just one warehouse.
It's just one warehouse.
Then
It's just it's a transfer that basically inventory doesn't sit on our floor. It just comes on our floor and then we ship it out. But we need to know what's the best way to integrate that with QuickBooks.
okay.
Service charge.
Yeah,
So-
we're just doing a service charge on them.
Pardon?
We're just applying a service charge to do the transfer.
Okay. So you're getting the inventory.
Correct.
You don't do the inventory?
We don't host the inventory. We don't keep it on our floor. We just basically are doing a service charge for them to do the transfer.
Okay, so that's not a Fishbowl transfer transaction. That's a QuickBooks transaction.
Right.
I would have to be a non-inventory part
Yes.
because you pick non-inventory parts. I'd have it at 0 cost, and I would just have, the inventory, the item itself on the sales order with the service charge on the sales order. Because as long as the cost is 0, it's not doing anything to your books on that non-inventory part.
What about for the purchasing side of it? Like,
Purchase side. Okay. Where does it book too.
Because we have a purchase order and we have a sales order, but they don't always match. So it shows like we're purchasing at cost. It is kind of flowing through technically our system.
Yeah. Sorry, Jeanne. We're kind of talking now because we're talking about the PO side of it as well.
Well, the purchase order side would be $0, right?
That's not usually how it comes over. It comes
We're not
over.
taking, we don't own this inventory, correct?
Correct. We don't own the inventory, but we own, well,
But it shows in our books that we are purchasing it and we
Yeah.
are selling it, but the only thing we are actually doing is charging a service for it. But it does show that we are purchasing and selling it.
yeah, it does come in as, it shows that we are.
Yeah, so just
Yeah.
make sure the cost is 0 and it just flows through.
Just make sure cost zero.
Yeah. We try that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you, Jeanne.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Allah. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Can you repeat your question for us? That way the rest of the audience knows what you're asking. Sometimes
In other
Jeanne
words,
just answers
shame on me.
them. No, that's okay. Okay, go ahead. I unmuted you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Yes. So we are about to implement an integration between Fishbowl and QuickBook. And currently, our QuickBook inventory is a mess, and we use Excel spreadsheet for inventory count and cost of goods sold calculations. So my question is, do we need to clean up the QuickBook before integrating with the Fishbowl, or it's not necessary since we do have to go through the new inventory setup in the QuickBook?
Okay, so this is what we're doing. When you're in a QuickBooks Fishbowl environment, there are no inventory items left in QuickBooks. You just zero everything out. Okay? Fishbowl is only posting dollars to QuickBooks. It is not posting any inventory activity. So you're going to zero out your existing inventory, and I recommend having separate asset accounts for Fishbowl versus QuickBooks in the beginning, so it's easy to tell where the transaction volumes are coming from. And so from there, you can, you see how close your initial inventory in Fishbowl is to QuickBooks, and agree to whatever that write-off or write-up is going to be. And then after that, you don't have to worry about QuickBooks anymore.
Okay, and could you please repeat what you recommended about setting up an asset account in the QuickBook?
Right. So in Fishbowl, we've got this default we have default account mapping. So initially, I would have my asset account over in QuickBooks called Fishbowl Inventory Asset, just so I can distinguish between what's coming from Fishbowl and what is what has been historic in QuickBooks.
Okay. And why do you that account?
At the QuickBooks inventory, then you can merge the two accounts.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I just want them there for the initial, so it makes it easier to distinguish between this is a Fishbowl transaction and this is a QuickBooks transaction.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
It's the accountant in me.
Okay, great. Nice job, Jeanne. So then we have Andy. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and then please go ahead and ask your question again.
Hello, Jeannie. How are you?
Hi, Andy. I'm good.
I'm going to ask a question I think I already know the answer to, but we're going to need to associate two different costs to the same part number. Certainly, we'd like to do that. We have a large BOM, over 800 parts, that'll have different sub-assemblies and singular parts that will be then sold again as spare parts. But from an ordering from our vendors ordering and things like that, we kind of need to keep the part numbers the same if we can. What do you think?
Okay, so the question is how you're using the word cost. Because if I'm selling spare parts, I'm going to sell them at a different price than I'm going to use them as a cost in my BOM.
Right.
Cost is what I pay the vendor. Price is what I sell things for. So
Right.
if I'm selling my BOM parts, I can sell them at whatever price I want to sell them at. But you only get one cost per part. There's no specific identification parts. So
Okay.
I don't think you're paying one cost for part A when you're going to sell it as a spare part, and a different cost for part A when you're going to sell it as you can sell it in the BOM. So I think we've got cost and price kind of mixed up here.
Okay, so basically we can sell it the same unit at a different
Price.
cost and price. The cost has always got to be the same. The price can be different.
You get one costing algorithm to choose from.
Okay.
FIFO, LIFO, standard, or average.
Average.
And we have all kinds of pricing rules where we can sell the same thing for all kinds of different prices and different discounts based on customer, based on product, based on customer groups, product trees, etc. We even can do quantity discounts over here and create a sale date. All right.
That's good. Great. Thank you.
Hi, Jeanne. I work with Andy, and what he's saying is when we buy specific parts that are part of the BOM, we get a discounted cost when we buy them all together. But if we're just buying one piece here or there for the same part number, we pay a higher price, and thus our customer will in turn pay a higher price.
Okay, you can only have one cost.
Yeah.
So the
And
cost,
it'll just do an average costing over time.
average or LIFO or FIFO or standard.
Yeah.
However we set it up, right?
We normally set it up as average, but
Yes, you're going to make that decision when we first build your Fishbowl file.
right. So yeah, so we cannot use two different costs, and that is my question. And we can sell it for whatever we want to whomever we want at different pricing structures.
You bet. All day, every day.
Okay, so now we're going to go to Sharmini.
Okay, you didn't miss the bit on reconciling QB and Fishbowl inventory since they're in different formats.
Yes, because we're coming to the year end, and I do see that there are big differences between the two, what's in Fishbowl and what's in QuickBooks. So in Fishbowl, it's a listing. You know, I can print out a valuation report, and it's a listing. Whereas in QuickBooks, because it's accounting entries, there's the debit and credit, and, you know, it doesn't make for easy comparison.
Okay, so thank you for letting me do a commercial.
Okay.
So this set of reports right here, I can go through and I can match the activity in and out of my inventory account to the general ledger in QuickBooks and find out where our discrepancies are. So this one is my detail of adjustments, and at the very end of it, I've got the journal entry format for that period. And then I have my purchase transactions, and I have my sales transactions. And then I don't believe you have any manufacturing. Oh, yes, you do. And then I have my manufacturing transactions. So what you can do with these reports is compare that with the activity that exists in QuickBooks right now and find out where the differences are. I have a I have a blog post, the top 10 reasons Fishbowl and QuickBooks don't balance. And I would suggest you use that as a guide. So like my number one reason is, I think I start with, I check mappings. Make sure that my inventory parts are all coded to the right accounts and that my non-inventory parts or my not inventory parts are coded to the correct accounts. A lot of times have a not an inventory part that's someone coded to inventory assets. So every time we buy it, the dollars are going to inventory asset, but we don't really, it's not an inventory part. It's not on my reports.
Okay, I do see that. So is this something that has to be customized for us? I see it's a controller's toolbox.
This is the controller's toolbox, and it does not need to be customized for you. It's a standard report package.
All right, okay. So I should be able to go into that.
No,
wow, okay.
It's my proprietary standard report package.
All right, okay.
You have to buy it from me.
Okay.
But
Everyone,
thank you.
Our controller's toolbox is for sale on our website if you wanted to check that out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And okay, so we were paying different prices for different parts. We already went through that one. Okay, I think I'm caught up on the questions in the question box.
Yes, here, let me unmute. Oh, there's one that just popped in here. Daniel.
Hey. Okay, one of my favorite topics, outsourcing. So Daniel, do you track lot numbers, serial numbers, revision levels, etc.?
We track lot numbers on the 2 items we send over and a lot number on the item that comes back.
Okay, so you only have one opportunity. Fishbowl's got this cute little shortcut for outsourcing, but it doesn't work if we're using lot control. So what you're buying, so what you're going to do is you're going to create a purchase order to your vendor, and you're going to put the one part you're sending over and then the other part you're sending over. And we're going to make each of these, we click into here and make these outsourced parts. So what this does is it queues them up to be shipped to the vendor. Okay. And what you're really buying from the vendor is his service, right? To put them together.
Yep.
Okay. So this is what we actually are paying for. So we send these parts out, and when they come back, even though they're assembled into a new thing, we receive them. Let me ship them out first. Okay. Okay, so now they've been shipped to the vendor. They're sitting in the vendor's inventory. Fishbowl and QuickBooks know we still own them. And now we're going to come in here and we're going to go receive those back in. And why did my screen go dark? Then you're going to have a manufacturing order that's going to take my 2 parts and the service and turn them into my finished good.
So you receive all 3, and where do they? Where does the new inventory sit as a 3rd part? I guess.
Pardon?
Oh, so you actually have to manufacture it after that.
Yeah.
Within.
Build up the cost. There's a cute little trick workaround, but it doesn't work if you're using any kind of tracking like that, like lot numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no point in teaching you that.
Well, it's not super necessary, so maybe it would help if I could see that. Because we do it just out of redundancy, but we might not have to be tracking as much as we think.
Okay, what business are you in?
We're not in the cannabis industry.
Well, medical devices, all kinds of things need tracking.
Right.
So I can say that's going out. And I can say this is outsourced. And then I can say that it's returning as a different part number. Okay. With a compatible unit of measure. Okay. Yeah. We're going to send out an extra small and get a medium. That's magic. That's magic thinking.
That's a good vendor.
And so now we would also add our service part. Which has dollar value to it. And now we're going to issue that. I'm going to ship out my part to the universe. And then send it to the vendor. And then time passes by.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm going to receive it. Why is that screen dark? You know, I think I'm going to exit that screen and come back. So now I'm going to receive this PO. Yes, much prettier screen. And it comes back as my medium into inventory.
All right, cool. And would this work if there was two different parts that would be returning as?
There is a way to spread the service costs. There's two different parts being returned?
No, just one. So if, let's say if I had, if I sent a small and a medium and got back just a large.
I am not sure. We can try it.
Because what I'm afraid of is that we would both have to receive both of those parts back as two separate entries, right? So
I think you really don't get to use the shortcut, is what I think. Is there any way to export inventory items from Excel to Fishbowl? Of course there is. Look at all these wonderful import templates we have.
Yeah.
The big one is going to be something called the PPV, part, product, and vendor pricing. That is the backbone of your part master. And that is one of the most common ways to build your Fishbowl file. Okay. And Ala, there is an article or a checklist on my website for an accounting checklist for going live with Fishbowl. So I suggest you look at that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for viewing this video. And we at Terabyte Solutions are a full service Fishbowl support firm. So we would like to help you with your Fishbowl issues. Give us a ring at 949-645-1019 and we will be happy to help. Thank you very much. Bye.